you were a big reader as a child, right?
Oh, yes.
You, wrote an entire novel as a teenager in a library. Do I have that
Oh,
mythology?
yes. I wrote my first novel. Its title was Bianca, and I don't remember much about it except for it involved a girl, a boy, and a sword. And I'm ashamed to admit that the girl was not the sword bearer of that book. I don't know what was wrong with me, but there was a massive sword that was important to me, my first book, as well as my first published book. And I continued to write novels. I love to involve history in my work. I didn't know a lot of history then, certainly the way I do now. I mean, certainly being older, I've learned so much all these years. So I'd go to my local library and I would just plunk myself down in the history section and near a book that looked interesting or a period of history that I wanted to write about, and just take out books, read them if I needed to. And then just, I would write my character sketches. I'd write scenes from my next novel. I wrote a lot of novels during that period, during my high school years and beyond. I was a very avid, fast writer. I only wrote first drafts, so they didn't really go very far, but still, I think I consider that amazing practice and just a great use of my imagination all those years. But yes, I have wonderful memories of sitting upstairs at the Jessup Memorial Library in Bar Harbor in the history section, just fishing books off the shelf when I needed a spark of inspiration for what I was working on.
Well, when you get it perfect the first time, you don't need a second draft, right?
That's what I thought.
When I lead workshops and I've got new writers who are just starting and they want to rewrite their story without fixing the 10 or 20 plot problems, structural problems that they need to address, I think it's better just, you know what, write the whole thing. Just get it out a couple of times. Get in the habit of writing full stories, then start picking them apart, because you're going to go through a period where you're paralyzed. Oh my God, everything I do is possibly wrong. I can't do anything. So it's better if you just get in the habit of going through like a freight train first, and then finding that balancing act between the thrill and joy of drafting versus the responsible pulling back of revision.
And I find there's so much creativity in revision too. I mean, your novel can transform. You've got the bones of it down, you've got the bones of your story, and just being able to flesh it out, or, move a bone around if you need to. But I didn't always love revision. Certainly I found it really challenging and demoralizing, I think, as a young writer. But these days, it's magical how a story just comes together. And I love how first drafts allow me to be utterly free. I can write whatever I want. It can be messy, it can be sloppy. I learn about my characters, and I certainly discover wonderful plot points as I go along. I'll drop something in and then I'll say, oh, wait a minute, that ties to this part later on. That's how I come up with so many of the plot points that end up in my final manuscript. In that first draft, those plot points by chance, as I just let the story spin and the characters find their way on their own.
Little gifts from your subconscious or your muse, or maybe both.
Yes, for all the books I've read, the many books I've read, and the shows I've watched, and the films and so forth. My mind is.
Yes, those all have a way of sneaking in disguised as original thoughts.
Yes.